Whew. People, what's going on? As promised, it feels good. It feels great. It's your boy Bobby from Mentourme.com. As you guys know, I promised you guys tonight I'll be talking about the importance of building wealth, ways to create wealth, and how to detach yourself from the gap inequality. We got to really think about it. We're in a world right now. A lot of people want to financially win. A lot of us are trying to figure out what's our next step of life. How do you recreate wealth? You know, what is wealth? What's some of the things we should be considering when it comes to, of course, really building that term wealth? Because you hear people throw it so vaguely. You know, wealth is what I'm after. Wealth is what you should be trying to chase. But the reality is, how do we get there? So tonight I'm talking 10 steps on teaching all of you on how to create wealth. As you guys know, I'm a mentor, I'm a life coach, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm definitely an investor from what many know, from stock trading, stock investing, because I have a lot of stock I'm still holding, roughly $1 million in the stock market. And again, the value is down, of course, because the market's down. Have a lot of real estate. I'm investing into real estate. Actually, I'm doing a property right now. And there's some real rehab going on. And I'm actually about to buy another property in the next probably 30 days to fix and flip. And again, I want you guys to know the goal of when I do these lives for everybody that's watching on Facebook, YouTube, IG, is not to make it seem like I'm better than you. The goal is to have you guys understand the mindset, to understand what it takes to really get to your goals. How do you reach your goals? So tonight we're talking about 10 ways on how to create wealth. Number one, okay, we got to first understand, do you have a plan? This is a real big problem because a lot of us, we're saying we want to create wealth. We're saying we want to get to the next level. We're saying we want to be millionaires. We're saying we want to make a lot of money. We're saying we want to be rich. What's your plan to getting there? See, I want you guys to always understand, rich is monetary. Wealth is a mindset. Wealth also takes a different levels of understanding. A lot of you think that as long as you make money, you will be wealthy. That's not how wealth works. You got to understand, people, it's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It's stamina. It's self-discipline. These are the intrinsic things you need to understand in order to creating wealth. What's your plan to getting there? If you're saying to yourself, look, I want to make $200,000 a year, 12 months in a year. Have you divided 200,000 by 12 months? Divide that by 4 weeks to understand this is what I'm trying to target per week. What can get me there? Because a lot of you don't understand the jobs that you're working at, some of them, you've been getting paid the same thing for the last 5 to 12 years. Nothing has changed. But you're saying to yourself, you want wealth. You're saying to yourself, you want to leave something behind. Shouts out to Jason. Dominican Republic is in the building, people. No, I'm drinking. I'm not drinking tonight. Today, I'm actually just drinking. I'm actually on just green tea tonight, man. Because after I go do this live, I have to. I got a lot of researching to do. I got to calculate some numbers on the rehab that I'm working on. I gotta go research a lot of different things. One of the things I want you guys to know is. When you're trying to figure out a plan, it needs to be very clear, very detailed. Like, okay, well, is your plan a monthly plan? Is it a weekly plan? Is it a bi-yearly plan? What's your financial plans of life? Because a lot of you, you're saying you want to do better, but you're not applying yourself. You're not doing anything to see the better, to see the difference of your life. Because you guys got to realize this, you're getting older, and when you tell yourself something and you don't do it, especially when it makes sense and it aligns with your life, you're only really lying to yourself. That's not what wealthy people do. And remember, wealth is based on people loving you. Wealth is also based on the fact that you're leaving legacy behind. Wealth is also based on the fact that you have passive income. You maybe have what we call dividend income. You maybe have what we call rental income. That's wealth. A lot of you don't understand wealth also comes with a mindset. So my first thing to a lot of you that's trying to create wealth, you need to create a plan. I don't care if you create it on a yellow notepad. I don't care if you create it on your notes on your phone. You need to have a clear plan on how are you going to reach your financial goals. Because a lot of you are just saying things, and y'all been saying things for a long time. A lot of you been saying a lot of things in your life that you want to do. Why aren't you doing it? Hey, buddy, I want to start fixing my credit. One day I want to buy a home. One day I want to have an investment property. One day I want to start a business. People, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Time is not coming any faster. People, at the end of the day, you got to understand your life is short. You got to look at the life expectancy of human beings nowadays. 75, some people are already cut out. Sometimes the man above wants you a little bit earlier. 55, you're already out. 45, that's it. Life is done. You don't want to be that should-have, could-have, would-have type of individual. You want to start doing things that you need to do to create wealth. Number one, have a plan. What is your plan? Okay, number one, if you're saying a plan, okay, financially, I'm trying to reach, hypothetically, I want to reach $200,000, if that's you. Okay, cool. There's 12 months in a year. Let me divide it by 12 months. Let me divide it by 4 weeks in a month. This is what I'm trying to reach weekly. Now we talk about number two. You figured out how much you're trying to make weekly to reach your financial goals, because again, you had a plan. The question is any of your streams of income, or is your job, if that's all you have, is it a high-paying job? This is a big problem in the community. A lot of us don't have any high-paying jobs or high-paying skilled incomes. This is a big problem. A lot of you are doing jobs or doing licensed skills or doing side hustles that will keep you broke forever because it's so low paying, and you don't understand the more you work, the more it makes money. But here's the problem. It doesn't pay you enough. That's why I always go back to telling people, you got to know your worth. You got to know your worth. At the end of the day, people, is any of your streams of income high-paying streams of income? Where one client, you're good for the month, or one client, you're good for the next 2 weeks, or one client, you're good for at least the next 2 months. What type of stream of income do you have? If you have a job only in this world today where the cost of living is ridiculously high, inflation is blowing through the window, interest rates are going up, you will be struggling very soon, or you will be on a budget to the day that you die if you don't change your approach to how you want to create wealth, people. And one of the biggest problems I see with a lot of people is we want to create wealth, but we don't want to understand the value of creating higher streams of income, higher paying streams of income. A lot of us still have low paying jobs. Some of us have low paying careers. Some of us are even licensed in certain things that's low paying. And you don't understand how much of a problem that is. Number two, one of the things I try to have a lot of people understand, people, when you're in this world of trying to create wealth, you need to keep your debt low. You need to keep your debts low. The problem with a lot of us, we have so much debt: car debt, mortgage debt, relationship debt. Listen to that third one, relationship debt. Some of you have so much debt, and then take another individual that has so much debt. So now you got two people with a whole leap of debt in a relationship. To me, there is something called a relationship debt, because you guys got to really think about this. Some of you have high car payments, car debt, school debt, relationship debt, business debt, mortgage debt. At the end of the day, credit card debt. Some of you haven't taken any time to reduce the amount of credit card debt you have. And you got to understand how much of a problem this is if you're trying to create wealth. Wealthy people keep their debt low. The only time their debt is high, when I say debt, it's when they have what we call good debt. This is when you have debt that brings you in income. Leverage debt, such as, of course, your leverage to maybe have an investment property. Your leverage to have a business that business is bringing you in income. Your leverage, maybe you have an apartment complex or you own a warehouse and you're collecting rent from 3, 4, 5 different people. That is what we call good debt. See, that debt there is okay to have. But the problem is with a lot of us, we have a lot of bad debt, which is car debt, depreciating asset. Mortgage debt, when I get it, some of you can't run from, but you're not even trying to pay more towards principal to bring that debt down. Do you guys understand? The way this system works when you own a mortgage, okay? You sign on a dotted line for a home, hypothetically, for $400,000. They give you a mortgage, I don't know, I'm just making up a number, $2,600. You times that by 12 times 30 years, you probably paid $1 million for the house if it takes you 30 years to pay it off. By that time, you got to really pay attention to your age. Really pay attention to this, okay? Look how this world works, okay? You go in debt to buy a house. $400,000 house, $500,000 house, $600,000 house, $700,000 house. They give you a mortgage at $2,500. Now, your mind, oh my God, I bought a house for $400,000. No, you didn't. Okay? No, you didn't. The mortgage is amortized, meaning stretched out to make it affordable for you on a 30-year stretch. So now you take the $2,600 times 12 months times 30 years. That number could be $1.3 million that you really owe on a house that you, by theory, feel you bought for $400,000. And some of you sit here at these companies making the minimum mortgage payment for the rest of your life, not realizing you had enough time to work for a company and give lenders who gave you a loan for your house $1.2 million, but you never had time to give yourself $1 million. People really pay attention to what's happening in this world. A lot of you don't understand how powerful debt is. It is keeping a lot of you at some of these jobs you don't like. Some of you are working 2-3 jobs because of high debt ratios you have. Car debt, trying to drive cars you know you can't afford. Working 2-3 jobs just to drive a certain type of car, knowing you can't afford the car. But just to impress your friends, just to impress society, just to impress social media, you will go in debt for a Range Rover $95,000 to $130,000 car. Your payments are $3,000, $2,200 a month just to drive a Range Rover. And here's what's funny. 8 months later, the Range Rover come out with new headlights. They come out with new backlights. You just signed on a dotted line for 5 years, 6 years, 72 months, which is the normal number. You owe $120,000 on a car just because you want to be in a Range Rover. You want to be in a brand new Range. You want status. And here's the problem. Wealthy people don't buy cars like that. Here's what wealthy people do. We don't go to the dealership and go put ourselves in debt for $120,000 without knowing we have something that's going to pay for that car. Wealthy people, when they drive Lambos, the intelligent ones, Porsches, Ferraris, Mercedes, Range Rovers, you know what they do? They buy assets, maybe an apartment complex, maybe a business, maybe a duplex, maybe have a couple of different triplexes. Guess what? And as they're collecting $10,000 a month in passive rent, as they're collecting $20,000 a month in passive rent, they take $2,000 of that 20 and let that pay for that Range Rover that you see them driving. And a lot of them are usually leased, and guess what? 3 years later, they turn the truck back in and go get the newest one. While you go take your hard credit, take your down deposit, no matter how you got it, go buy a car, put yourself in debt for $130,000. They put you on a 5-year finance payment, amortized. You're paying $2,000 a month. By the time you pay off the car, remember, cars nowadays, they're making new versions every 6 to 8 months by just changing the headlights, changing the back bumper, changing the grill. 5 years later, you pay off the car. You bought it for $120,000, $130,000. Your car only worth $30,000. Your car only worth $25,000. Your car only worth $40,000. By the time you paid it off, it already depreciated 80% of what you paid for it. At the end of the day, people, you got to understand how to buy smart. When you're buying a depreciating asset, which is a car, the way wealthy people do it, we let assets pay for liabilities. Meaning we have income coming in from something else. We let that pay for the car we drive, the fun stuff. You never take your hard-working money. I told you guys one of the things I've always and will do. I want a Lambo. I'm a big fan, but I'm a super fan of Lambos. I think Lambos are amazing vehicles. Give you a level of status. It also give you a level of accomplishment. And it's just an amazing car. I've drove many Lambos. I think Lambos are so amazing. And there's a specific one I want. But again, you're talking a $4,000, $2,800 a month, sometimes even $5,000 a month payment. Well, the first thing I'm doing, you guys keep hearing me say, I'm soon looking for, which I'm looking for right now, is an apartment complex. And once I'm netting $20,000 to $30,000 or more a month, the goal is to take maybe $3,000 to $4,000 and let that pay for my Lambo. And that's how the game go. I let my passive income pay for my debt. People, that's how you do things when it comes to wealth. Number 3. People, you got to get to the point, actually, sorry, number 4, because number 3 was keeping your debt low. Number 2 was understanding how to have a plan. Number 1 was also understanding that at the end of the day, you need to create higher paid streams of income. A lot of you don't realize you don't get paid enough. You're at these low paying jobs. You have these low paying licenses. You have these low paying skills. And you're asking yourself, why are you still struggling? You're going to keep struggling if you don't change your stream of income to a high paid job, high paid career, or high paid type of skill. People, understand life is short. Number 4. Streams of income is so important, and this is something you guys know I preach a lot, and it is such a big problem with a lot of people. Make sure you put your comments below. We're talking about 10 ways on how to create wealth, the mindset of a person who wants wealth. And this is how I think. I wrote down 10 things that I think about when it comes to myself and how my mind works. I spoke about, of course, having a plan. I spoke about keeping your debt low. I spoke about the importance of having a high-paid skill or high-paid job. It's so important, a high-paid career. Now I'm talking about the importance of having different streams of income. The biggest problem with a lot of us, and especially people who book me all day, is that a lot of you have one stream of income. And your stream of income, the moment it fails you because you got laid off or demoted or furloughed, or what's another term these corporations, these entities love to use, you got fired, right? You got to realize at the end of the day, you should never be in a position struggling with it in a 2-month stretch after you lose a job. For whatever reason you lost it for. If you are in a position where you're financially struggling within 2 months of losing the job, obviously you had no savings. You had no emergency funds, of course. And 2, that job didn't solve your problems. You were working check by check, if that's the case. What I will tell you is one of the things I preach a lot on is having different streams of income. Real estate is something that a lot of wealthy people always invest into, and that's why I invest into real estate. No matter how you're doing real estate, because you could be wholesaling real estate, you could buy and hold, meaning you're collecting passive income. And at a certain age of your life, I really believe you should be collecting rent. You shouldn't always be flipping homes unless the numbers make sense to flip. You should get to a point where you're holding homes and collecting rent. Somebody is paying you rent. Then you got to get to the next level, have another person paying you rent. Get to the next level where you got 3 to 4 people paying you rent. People, when you get to these levels, one thing you will see for anybody who's on this live that understands what I'm talking about. Once you buy one house, that's cool. That's your personal house. The minute you buy the second home, that's an investment property in of course, state of Florida. Because you could only homestead one house. That investment property now, here's the problem. In order to buy it, they're going to look at your income to debt ratio. You see how we're going back to a couple steps ago that I talked about. If your debt ratio is too high, banks are not going to let you buy a second home or apartment or investment asset. Because why? In their eyes, based on how they dictate what a debt to income ratio is, you have passed the 49% threshold based on your debt. And here's the problem. Having your debt too high, you will be stuck the moment you buy maybe 1 or 2 properties. That's why you need to understand the importance of paying your debt down. Even if it's not paid off, pay it down. because a lot of you who may not have homes, you may not understand this. It's easy to buy your first home, right? To a certain degree, as long as you have the down deposit, your credit score is good. Some of you like to go FHA. Some of you go conventional if you have more money to put down, no big deal. Look what happens when it's time to buy the second home. Oh, wow, your debt to income is too high. Then you think it's bad. Wait till it's time to buy the third home if you're trying to get into a third property. You think lenders was giving you an issue on buying in the second home? You need a very good lender to buy the third home or the fourth home. Then you sometimes have to start leveraging people because you guys don't understand. It's not 1-2 to have 10 homes. It's a process. It's knowing the right lenders. It's being around the right people, knowing that every home requires a certain down deposit. And again, let's be honest. Sometimes, do we really have enough capital? This is the battle a lot of us are fighting. Even if there was an opportunity to buy a second home, some of us can't do it because we don't have enough capital. The only stream of income we have is our job. And the moment the job leaves, we start struggling. We start complaining. We start bashing the company. It's their fault while I'm struggling. So you're never going to get another stream of income. You're going to put all your faith into one company, one job. That's it. That's all you're going to do. The next thing I want to talk about is understanding this. You guys need to understand the importance of maxing out your retirement account. Wealthy people love to put money in their retirement account for a lot of different reasons. And the reason that they love to put a lot of money in their retirement account is not just for the fact of, I just want to save up for retirement, but it's also for tax purposes. People that understand the true value of wealth, you always move money, of course, to retirement accounts. Because one, it reduces your taxable income, the amount of money you make for the year, and the amount of money you get taxed on. And two, it's also a great vehicle for you to invest long term so you don't have to touch your money currently right now. The retirement vehicles that exist, there's so many ones. Of course, you guys know this. Some of you may know the simple ones, traditional IRAs, where you only can put a certain amount per year, 5,000, 3,000. There's also the Roth IRAs where you get taxed, of course, at different levels of life. I get it, cool. But there's also something called a SEP, Simplified Employee Pension Plan. There's also something called a self-directed IRA. These are the type of retirement vehicles that people don't talk about other than the 401k that a lot of you understand. Wealthy people max out their retirement account for a lot of different reasons. And you got to understand this is a key to wealth. And it's also something I believe too, like in life, when you have a certain amount of money in your bank account, let's say 50,000, 100, 200,000, whatever the case may be, which you should not have that type of money in your bank account unless you have a reason behind why it's there. Maybe you're about to take on an investment. You got to really understand that as you get older, retiring is very important. Where do you retire? At what age do you retire? How much money do you need to retire? These are things that a lot of people don't talk about, but wealthy people, we talk about that. These are topics of discussion that we'd love to have because you got to understand how you will retire because one day you have to stop working, people. And a lot of you don't take it serious. But when I sit down with individuals nowadays at 45, 55, 65, some of them don't have a path to retirement. And some of you don't even know how much your retirement account even have. I meet a lot of people that tell me, yeah, I got a 401k, I don't even know how much is in it. So you tell me you don't even look at the yearly statements. You don't even know what is your 401k invested into. You don't even know who's the holder of your 401k account. How much interest is it really bearing? Is it getting compound interest? Is it getting yearly interest? Is it getting bi-yearly interest? If it's a dividend paying type of retirement account. People, these are things you should be asking yourself because wealthy people love to understand how to max out their retirement. And some of you have this whole matching retirement account, which is so amazing. Some of them are very beneficial. They match almost 40% on the dollar, 60% on the dollar, which is like you're double dipping, which is amazing. But again, some of you don't even take advantage of some of these incentives that you guys have for working at some of these companies that you love to death. Some companies don't pay good, but they have amazing retirement account benefits, which can make you $1 million when it's time to retire or more. But you have to understand the importance of maxing it out. I want to also talk about this, man. Wealth is not always about material things. It's also about, when I say your mindset, it's about also staying humble. I've met a lot of people who made a lot of money and lost it all. And I started learning that one of the reasons that a lot of people who have a lot of money lose all their money is because they're not humble. Being humble when you're making money, being humble when you're building wealth, being humble when you're building legacy is so important. You have to be selfless because it's not just about you, it's about the future of yourself and your family. See, a lot of you, you're so focused on you. Everything is about you. I want to make sure I'm good. I want to make sure I'm good. I want to make sure. But some of you don't even realize that your parents don't even have a way to retire. Where's your parents going to stay when it's time, when they can't work no more? Have you thought about that? Did you create an account for your mother or father or grandma, whoever takes care of you, whoever was taking care of you when you was younger? Have you figured out how are they going to retire? Some of you don't realize that while you're only thinking about yourself, thinking about being wealthy, you got a bigger problem to deal with before you even get to yourself. And that should be one of the reasons you should be self-driven. You should be way more motivated to becoming somebody, to put yourself in a position to having legacy. Because you know it's not just about you. It's about your child. It's about your mother. It's about your father. That's the reality. But for some of you, you know what's funny? Like, I don't know if it's me, but like, some people move knowing that they have nothing in life, nothing to show at their age. Like, it's okay to chill on the weekends. It's okay not to do. If you don't have shit and you're 40 years old, you shouldn't be chilling. You should be grinding. You should be hustling. You should be investing. You should be trying to figure out, how do I get paid more in my life? How do I add another stream of income? How do I build wealth? How do I not struggle like my parents did? That's what you should be thinking about. But for some of you, I don't understand. You got so much chilling in your system. You became like a chillinology. Like you got a master's in chilling, knowing you don't have shit, which is crazy to me. People, at the end of the day, wealth is not just monetary. It's about your self-drive. It's about how you're helping others. It's about being there for others. Because a lot of you don't realize that a big part of creating wealth too, you need to build good relationships with people. You need to also start coming together with somebody else. I find it so funny in life. Like, some people want to make a million, want to become a multi-millionaire, want to get to the next level of life, but you want to do everything by yourself. You have this individualistic mindset. I want to do everything by myself. How is that even possible? At the end of the day, you got to be realistic with what's in your bank account. You got to be realistic with the circle of friends that you have. If you know you got $10,000 in your bank account, I'm going to be real with you. In the world today, having $10,000 in your bank account in 2022 and thinking that you are in a good financial position because you have only $10,000, I'm going to give it to you so raw tonight. You are broke. If you understood how broke you are, you would get yourself up tomorrow morning, start reading, Google, start really getting online, trying to figure out your life. Some grown adults are in this world today, 40 years old, 35 years old, 45 years old, sitting on $10,000, think they're in a good financial position. If you have $10,000 in your account or less, you are broke. That's facts. Do you know how fast $10,000 can be spent because the cost of living today, gas prices, renting/mortgage prices, car prices, $10,000, you don't even have enough money to put down on a condo. People, what are you talking about? There's so many grown adults that's living on less than $10,000. Some of them are living on less than $5,000. And the crazy part, some of them think they're bougie. How are you bougie with $5,000 in your bank account? How are you bougie and you only have $10,000 in your bank account? You're broke. You're so broke, it's confusing you, making you believe that you're in a good financial position. If you lost your job, you would be struggling. You would be running to unemployment if you lost your job. If you have $10,000, $10,000 will get blown in 60 days or less, maybe 30 days or less, because of the cost of living in this world today. People, who are you fooling? This is why I keep preaching to a lot of you, saving is the new investment. Another thing that wealthy people love to do, we love to invest. I don't care if you're investing in cars. I don't care if you're investing in houses. I don't care if you're investing in stocks. I don't care if you're investing in e-commerce. I don't care if you're investing in yourself. You need to invest. People, the whole point of saving is to take a portion of your savings and invest into something. So a couple of years from now, you have something to sell. In life, I don't think a lot of you realize this. Wealth, a big part of people who become wealthy and who continuously get wealthier, they always have something to sell. Now, the question is, what do you have to sell? This is the reality, people. This stuff, some of this stuff is not even written in books. It's reality. You have to have something to sell in life. That's how the wealthy keep taking money out your pocket. That's why Apple is always going to take money out your pocket. That's why Michael Jordan is going to always take money out your pocket. That's why, of course, Louis Vuitton is going to take money out your pocket. That's why these lenders are always going to take money out your pocket. That's why all these brand names are going to take money out your pocket, because they always have something to sell, and you're the buyer. Now, the question is, what do you have to sell? See, in life, if you don't have something to sell, you got to start investing into something. If that's real estate, if it's stocks, I don't care if it's maybe crypto, if it's entrepreneurship, but you got to invest into something, people. Living in this world saying you want to be wealthy with less than $10,000 in your bank account, it's an embarrassment. You're telling me you've been alive your whole life up to the age of 40 years old, and the most you got out of life, out of 40 years of living, all you have to show is $10,000. That's pretty embarrassing. Now, some of you are going to make excuses for yourself. Oh, we're all not like you, and play the whole I'm not like you game. And, I don't have, you kids. And, you wouldn't understand. People, if 40 years have passed in your life, you're 40 years of age, and you still don't have more than $10,000. If you didn't have it then, you're not going to have it now. Because obviously, if you're still doing the same thing and expecting different results, that's insanity. You need to change something about your life to see more results. That's just the honest truth. People, the reality is the reality. A lot of you don't like to hear the reality. You like for people to come on videos and show fancy cars, fancy jewelry, and fancy brand names, and that's when you go into this world of belief. People, you got to really look at your life, look at your age, look at how many jobs you've worked at. Look at yourself a real question. At all these years of you being alive, what do you have to show? What do you own? What do you own other than a cell phone and a car? Tell me, what do you own? This is the reality, people. You say you want to be wealthy. Wealthy people invest in themselves. Wealthy people invest into assets. Wealthy people understand a liability from an asset. A liability is something that takes money out your pocket. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Wealthy people also understand there's good debt and there's bad debt. Bad debt is, of course, anything that's taking money out your pocket, hurting you financially. Cars. These expensive ass cars a lot of y'all like to drive just to look good on IG. Just to post and show the steering wheel, which is so embarrassing. When you have to go to work 6 days a week just to pay that car payment every single month. Why don't you show that part? Reality is reality, people. Tonight we're talking about 10 ways on how to create wealth. We spoke about having a plan. We spoke about reducing your debt ratio, bringing your debts down, paying down your debt. We spoke about understanding that you have to invest in life if you want to win. We spoke about creating different streams of income. We spoke about the importance of having high-paid jobs, high-paid. I have clients who make $400,000 a year working for somebody. And I have clients who've been working for people 30 years of their life making $30,000. I ask myself, why is there such a gap? Why did there's people in this world making $200,000, $150,000, $300,000 a year working for somebody? And there's the other side of the world where they're all born in the United States of America. But what's funny is they're only making $40,000 a year. And here's what's crazy. Some of them really think they make a lot of money. That's why I say the whole term when people tell me, oh, this person makes a lot of money is so subjective. What is a lot of money compared to who? I like to finish that sentence. When somebody says to you, I make a lot of money, compared to who? 50,000 is a lot of money a year. 80,000 is a lot of money a year. $100,000 a year is a lot of money. Compared to who? Who are you comparing yourself to? Not in the world where the home prices are going up, inflation is to the roof, car prices to the roof, healthcare is to the roof. How could you really believe in 2022, 100,000 is still a lot of money? And what's crazy, a lot of you were born here in the United States of America. You speak the language. You got 2-3 degrees behind you. You're probably bragging to other people how you went to this college and that college and this Black historical college or this prestige blended college, whatever. You know what I love about life? When I sit down with people, I get to really see people's true lifestyle and their net worth. If you guys understood how broke some people are, if you guys understood how broke some people are in this world, you'll be surprised. There's a lot of grown adults that don't have more than $2,000 in their bank account. But when you look at them online, they got jewelry on them. They got all the brand names. They always taking pictures showing their steering wheel of their car. And in real life, they don't own shit. They're working check by check, trying to impress their friends, trying to impress people who really don't care. But when you ask them a real question, which is questions I love to ask, what do you have to show other than these tattoos, these fancy cars, these fancy brand names? What do you have to show? What do you own? You know, one of the things I want to talk about too, which is a part of wealth, is actually 3 more things, is you got to understand the importance of life insurance to wealthy people. Life insurance is so important. For some of you, it's an expense. For me, it's an investment. That's how I look at it. The reason a lot of you right now are working 2-3 jobs is because your parents didn't leave nothing behind. And here's what you're doing today. You're doing the same cycle that your parents are doing. And then what I love about grown adults, they love to play the blame game. If you understood the importance of life insurance, you would have lots of it. Because you would understand if you die early, you're leaving a whole leap. You're giving your family a head start to $1 million, a head start to $2 million, a head start to $5 million. If you left that amount of money behind. And I get it. Some of you, you're leaving $40,000. Okay. I don't know what you're going to do with $40,000. What is a person going to do with people? I'm going to keep it real. Like, I'm going to give it to you like straight G. Like, I'm going to keep it to you like straight G. Like, I have times where I spend like $20,000 in a week. And some of you don't understand. At the end of the day, people, life insurance is an asset that you leave behind if you and when you check out early. A lot of you think one thing that's promised to life is this: we all going to die one day. I don't give a damn if y'all don't believe it or not. It's just the truth. Name one person that lived forever. Nobody. The question is, what do you have in place? And see, that's the big difference with a wealthy person's mindset and a broke person's mindset. You tell them to get $1 million life insurance policy, term life, whatever the case may be, 38 years. Damn, all they heard was the million. If your health is good, you're young, it might be $50, it might be $80. But for some people, it's so difficult for them to understand when you talk about life insurance, but it's very easy for them to understand when you talk about car insurance. It's very easy for them to understand when you talk about iPhone insurance. It's very easy for them to talk when you talk about any material thing. But the moment you talk about life insurance, it's like they're willing to give you every excuse why they should not have it or why they don't have enough. Some of you right now are working 2-3 jobs because your parents didn't leave you shit. It's crazy. And guess what? You're doing the same thing. So let me guess, you ain't gonna leave your kids shit either. You ain't gonna leave your nieces nothing either. So what are you leaving? Bad debt behind? What are you leaving? Excuses? What are you leaving? A Ford Escort behind? A Ford Fusion? What are you leaving? A Range Rover behind? That's what you're leaving behind if you die. If you die next week, what you left behind? Debt? School debt? Car debt? Excuses? Huh? A $10,000 or $1,000 bank account, savings account at Bank of America, Chase? What you left behind if you died next week? You see that? That's the reality of a wealthy person's mindset and a broke person's mindset. Things that should make sense doesn't. It takes time. When you tell a broke person, broke, not physical broke, mentally broke person, get life insurance, you need it, you have 2 kids, get $1 million. Nah, I can't do that. Nah, my job gave me some life insurance. How much your job gave you? $20,000. That's enough to take care of you. So if one of your kids pass or you pass, you only left $30,000, $20,000. That's all you left. Every year I sit down with my life insurance agent and I increase how much life insurance I have. I started at about $1 million and I just kept going. And I was probably, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. But tonight I'm really giving you guys like gems on understanding what it takes to be wealthy. I was in that world where I was making $20,000 a year, $50,000, $100,000. I played those $100,000 games, $200,000 games. I had to keep elevating. And it goes with the next thing I'm talking about. If you want to be wealthy, change your circle. Some of you hang with the brokest, undriven, material, ignorant, uneducated individuals. And some of you have great friends that's winning in life. And they keep telling you, come along, come win with us. Come join, come put your money in. And you never take the opportunity. And there's some of you that you can't take the opportunity because your credit not good, your savings not good. You're too immature to understand that your friends care about you enough. They're trying to put you on game. They're trying to give you an opportunity to jump in this real estate movement they got, or this entrepreneurship opportunity they got that could put some money in your pockets. Even if you don't love it, it's a great place to start. If you and your friends are not talking about how to grow in life, you got the wrong friends. If you and your friends are not talking about the cost of living right now, you have the wrong friends. And if you don't have those type of friends that understand the value of growth, the value of really putting yourself in the next position of life, you need to change your circle of friends. If you're the smartest person in your group of friends, you have the wrong friends. You could always enjoy Thanksgiving with them. But the question is, when are you going to level up? A lot of you say you want to create wealth. It's all good. It sounds good. I hear it a lot. Oh, next year I got some big things coming. 5 years later, I got some big things coming. It sounds good. It sounds good on paper. It sounds good through text. It sounds good through a voice note. When are you going to actually do something? Man, it's so crazy how much of a facade social media is. Social media makes it seem like everybody's life is perfect. You realize on social media, nobody has bad days? Is it me? Nobody has bad days on social media. Nobody shows when they're losing money, when they're losing sleep, when they're losing friends. Every day is perfect, huh? That's how social media looks. And the last thing I want to talk about tonight is this. A lot of you understand the importance of estate planning. There's nothing worse than you work so hard to build an empire, own assets, own buildings, own condos, own houses, own townhouses, own land, whatever it is that you own, and you never took time to protect what you own. by having a trust or a will. A lot of you need to understand the importance of a trust, especially nowadays. LegalZoom, shout out to LegalZoom.com, which have made things 100% easier. You no longer need to pay these lawyers to do a will or a trust anymore. And again, what is a will? A will is just a document, just a document when you really think about it, that specifies how things are going to be executed based on you not being on earth anymore. Now, a trust is very different. When you own assets, you eventually put them in a trust. And you put a person in charge called a trustee. You eventually also have something called a successor. In the case of that person dying, that trustee, the successor controls the next level of it. Owning assets is not just about owning assets. It's also about trying to make sure you reduce your tax burden, but also understand how to protect your asset. And protecting your asset, meaning if you were to pass away today, who controls your assets? If you were to pass away today and you owned, 5 houses, you have 2 kids, who owns 3? Who gets 2? Do they sell the homes? Do they rent? They can't. Do you put a clause where they can't sell a home? What's the rules you left behind? And how did you leave it behind? That's why you need to, when you own assets, you need to put them in a trust. So many millions of people, millions of Americans are living in a world with no wills, no trust, and they own assets. Some of us don't know what a will or a trust is. Nowadays, there's no excuse. Oh, I need an attorney, it costs too much money. No. That excuse is gone. Nowadays, all you need is rocketlawyer.com. All you need is LegalZoom.com. That's it. They'll do all the work for you. Life has changed. You don't need to pay a lawyer $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 to do any type of documentation for a will and a trust anymore when there's LegalZoom.com and there's companies like rocketlawyer.com. These companies are changing the dynamics of business, the dynamics of your financial asset protection, the dynamics of patenting and trademarking products. LegalZoom is taking over. You want to open up a nonprofit, LegalZoom.com. It's crazy. Change in the game. Shout out to all of you that's tuned in tonight on Facebook, YouTube, IG. Tonight we've talked about 10 ways that you need to change your mindset to see wealth and to create wealth. Wealth is not just saying it, it's doing it. Staying humble, investing, protecting your assets, having life insurance, cashing out. When I say cashing out, maxing out your retirement account, having high-paid careers, high-paid jobs, high-paid streams of income, having a plan in life. People, if you wake up without a plan, you already failed. You failed to plan. A lot of you wake up every day with no plan. You're already failing already. You failed the moment you didn't have a plan in life. What's your plan in life? Where do you see yourself 8 years from now, 10 years from now? Where do you see yourself 3 years from now, 2 months from now? Doing the same job, still waiting for that $2 raise, still complaining to people about your problems? Or are you going to start to get on the bandwagon and finally start saying, look, let me create wealth. Let me change my mindset. Let me start hanging with some people that's smarter than me. Let me start getting uncomfortable so I can get comfortable. Let me start reading what is a will, what is a trust. Let me start buying assets. Let me start putting my credit to use. Let me start fixing my credit if you have bad credit. That's what wealthy people do. Let me start helping other people who need help and who want help. That's what wealthy people do. They learn it's not about myself. It's about others. I have to be selfless. Let me start making sure I'm humble as I make money. I don't need to change who I am. I need to make sure I'm humble. Some people, money just magnifies who you are. That's usually how it is. When they was broke, they was rude. Now they got $10,000. They're even ruder. Now they're making $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year. That's the rudest person you ever met. It's crazy. People, do you guys have any questions for tonight before I get off this live? This is Bob from Mentourme.com. Any questions about financial success, financial wealth, retirement accounts, investing, stocks, real estate, a trust or will? Put your questions below if you have questions. If not, make sure you click like, share, subscribe if you're on my YouTube. Follow my podcast, The Painful Truth. Every Thursday, we have a relationship topic where we're always talking about the reality and how men perceive relationships, to give women and men great advice so they can move forward. Shout out to Mike, the advisor. And every Tuesday night, I'm always talking about financial literacy, teaching you guys how to change your mindset, teaching you guys how to financially win, teaching you how I went from 50 to 7 figures, how I got there, what it takes. The mindset is the difference between all of you that's watching. I'm not better than any of you. It's just the mindset. My approach to life is different. That's all it is. I love you all. All love. Get Carol's popping. Sakpase in the building. So many people from different parts of the world. Shouts out to all of you. Share, like, subscribe. I'm going to be posting this. Have my secretary post tomorrow on YouTube and then put it on all the platforms. People, make sure you're great. Make sure you're investing. Make sure you're creating wealth. And understand, if you want to become a multimillionaire, if you want to be wealthy, it's all understanding that you can do it. Oh, hold on. I got a question. Oh, I got a question. I'm going to answer a question on IG. Oh, wow. Okay, good. I got a question on YouTube also. Okay, good. How do you view investing up to the company match for 401k, or how do you view investing up to the company match for 401k or exceed it? My thing is this, right? Shouts out to financial_freedom 0420. It's important to understand whenever a company is matching, doing some type of dollar match program, you got to understand how beneficial is it, right? When they say match, how much of it are they really matching? Because sometimes you investing in self-investing, meaning you're going to invest through TD Ameritrade or Robinhood, if that's something you want to go with, a Charles Schwab by yourself, you could actually outpace the amount of money they would have made you in a far stretch, especially if you understand what you're doing. So I always tell people these dollar costs or dollar matching 401k plans, you got to understand, one is the fees, who's the company. At the end of the day, what are they investing your dollars into? So my thing is, when I spoke about earlier, maxing out your retirement account, I'm definitely a fan of that, because some people want something that's more self-automated, where they want it on more automation mode, where, again, they want the company to, whoever they have their 401k, to do all the work for them. My thing is, I recommend people like that to max out as high as you can, max it out every single year, because at the end of the day, that's a high chance of you actually creating true success, because the money is not sitting in your account gaining what we call maybe less than 1% of interest. You have something that's probably floating anywhere from, based on how aggressive that portfolio could be, anywhere from maybe 4 to 10% or more. So if a person asks me, Bobby, should I max out my 401k? Before I answer that question, I need to see, what is your 401k invested into? Who's the company? What are the yearly fees or bi-yearly fees, to be able to give you an answer? Because sometimes I tell people it's better you not only have the 401k with that company, but take the portion that you didn't invest and actually invest into your own self by being self-invested into maybe like TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, by yourself without the middleman. But great question, by the way. And right now, just to answer that too, just to piggyback on that, I'm big into the stock market. I'm heavily invested, almost $1 million, but I'm also, I believe in putting my money, especially as a 35-year-old individual, I believe in putting my money in tech stocks, artificial intelligence stock, which is robotics, electrical vehicle stocks, charging stations. I also believe in big in 3D companies. It's going to be the future of the world. So I'm one of those, I look at life differently. I'm looking at life on a 10-year stretch. Where's the world going to be on 10 years from now? So when I invest into different portfolios, different stocks, I like to invest into things that's really going where the world is going. I'm not really what we call a dividend investor. Some people do teach you that type of mindset, where you invest into stocks based on dividends, like a Ford or like a AT&T. These are dividend type of stocks. People buy them just for dividends. I'm more of a long-term appreciation type of investor, where you buy low, sell high, and again, 5 to 10 year stretch, you'll make at least, based on what you invested, at least 2 to 4 times that with ease. That's just my opinion. Simply Sophia Self Care says, I have a question. When it's time to retire, How is the money invested taken out? Okay, that's real funny. That's a real great question too. Um, it all depends on what type of retirement vehicle you have. Some of you are invested into the traditional retirement accounts. This is for real beginners. Traditional retirement accounts, what happen is they tax you when you take the money out at 59 and a half. Roth, that's another beginner type of retirement account. They tax you the moment you put the money in. So hypothetically, you put the money in today, you're taxed today. Self-directed IRAs is where you get to put your money with a third party custodian, a company that will take your money and invest your money into a piece of real estate if you would like. And all the money you receive is tax-free till it's time to pull out. Because again, based on the type of account they set you up with that self-directed type of account, you could be tax deferred the whole way through. You could be tax deferred at the beginning, you could be tax deferred at the end. It all depends on where they invested your money. What did you decide, and how do you want to get taxed? Do you want to get taxed now, or do you want to get taxed later? And this makes a big difference too when you're getting taxed. It's based on understanding too, where do you feel you're going to make the least amount of money on paper? Where do you feel also the interest rates are going to be higher or lower? I usually, if I'm in a retirement account, I feel I like to pay taxes now. But some of you're in a type of account where you're like, okay, well, I'm 59 and a half or I'm 49 and a half. Let me tell you something so you can know too. A lot of you cannot pull out your money based on the type of retirement accounts you have till 59 and a half. When 59 and a half come, finally the money is, and it's kind of weird to say this, it's semi-tax free based on the type of account you have. Don't let the government fully make it seem like it's just fully tax free. When you pull that money out, there is going to be some tax capital gains on that money, that especially if it made you money. Now, I have something called a self-employed, a SEP account, Simplified Employee Pension Plan. I'm retired in the state of Florida the moment I make roughly under $50,000. I'm by theory retired. And also my money is taxed very differently because it's sheltered differently when you have what we call a SEP account. So it's hard to answer that question based on, I need to know what type of account is your retirement account invested into. What type of retirement account is it? Roth, traditional, SEP, self-directed? Is it a 401k, 403b? There's so many different types of retirement accounts, but that is a great question. Yes, there is certain type of retirement accounts. When you are 59 and a half, all the money is tax-free based on how was it set up in the beginning. Great question, by the way. Specifically, a single stock investment, not 401k. What is the best approach when selling stocks for cash at that point? One of the things is when the way stock accounts are set up, and I hope I'm answering this question correctly for you, is whenever you sold a stock, you're going to get taxed no matter what, right? But a lot of us don't know that you could change your tax structure, meaning, do you guys know when you sell stocks, you could have lost $20,000 for the year. You could only write off $3,000 per year. Do you know you could change your tax structure? In that example that I just gave, if you lost $20,000, you could write off all 20, which makes a big difference to your tax burden. So a lot of you need to understand, when you're selling stocks, you got to have something to hedge against it, to offset the taxes you're about to owe. One of the things I always highly recommend a lot of people have is a corporation. And if you understand the power of an LLC S Corp, you will thank me later. Make sure you're hiring a CPA or accountant to give you some financial advice. This is not financial advice, it's just educational information. People, I'm going to be honest with you. These are great questions I'm getting because a lot of you need to understand. This person is asking a single stock investment, not a 401k. The person invests into a stock. At the end of the day, what is the best approach when selling stocks for cash? Once you sell a stock, you're going to get taxed. You're paying capital gains immediately. And the capital gains you pay is based on how long you held the stock for. If you held it for less than 12 months, you pay you pay more taxes, sorry. If you held it for more than 12 months, you pay less taxes. But how do you offset the tax burden you could possibly have if you made a large profit? You need to understand the value of an LLC S Corp. And if you understand the value of that, you will thank me later. For the person who asked that question. Great question, by the way. Simply Sophia Self-Care, great question. Shout out to all of you that's on YouTube, IG, Facebook. Any more questions in regards to real estate, in regards to financial literacy, budgeting, money management? Always feel free if you want to book a one-on-one like many others are doing. Get on mentorme.com. You can always book a session with me, a 1 hour or 2 hour session, webinar. And of course, I'll be glad to see your financial situation and give you guidance on how you can go about reaching your financial goals. This is your boy Bobby from mentorme.com. Shouts out to all of you that support the movement, that's DMing me, that loves, of course, the great content. Shouts out to all of you that have been supporting me for a long time. mentorme.com. You guys have a great, beautiful night.